Welcome to As We Get Older. I'm Laura Orndeff, and in this video, I want to talk about accessing an account after someone passes. Now, I'm talking about an executive of the estate or someone appropriate who's trying to access the account. Now, I'm also speaking in this video to the people who will be doing it. Like in my situation, I had to access my parents' accounts after they passed because I was the executor of the estate for both estates. I'm speaking to you, but I'm also speaking to those of you who are getting older because if you both work in conjunction with each other, getting this information is going to be so much easier. Because let's say I could go back and tell my younger self to get this information. I could have done it without mom. I could have contacted the companies and say, hey, in general, what's the policy? What's the procedure? But I wish I could have gone with mom and sat down with her and had the conversation. Say, what do I need to do? Now, you are going to have to do this legwork yourself. I can't I can't tell you in general what's going to happen because everything's going to be different. But I want to tell you a couple of the, not roadblocks, but definitely really big speed bumps that I ran into. And I was kind of blindsided. And hopefully, by telling you these, that you'll be prepared for them. Again, have these conversations. Now, the first inkling I had was sitting in the funeral home planning mom's funeral. Now, she did not pre plan her funeral, and at that point, when she passed that morning, I had been up for more than 24 hours. I kind of lost track, but I was exhausted. And the funeral home director was absolutely wonderful, just an amazing man. And he's going through, talking through everything. And I had a friend with me to make sure everything was above board. And of course, everything was. He was a great man. But when he came to the question, he said, how many death certificates do you want? I don't know. Why do I need a death? I figured I would have a death certificate, but why would I need a death certificate? I was 47 years old and I'd never had to deal with it. So I, I didn't know how to answer. And I just remember in this like really squeaky high voice going, what do I need them for? I mean, it was just, that was just, I don't know why, it just kind of shell shocked me. And it really was when you're contacting accounts and, because you need to prove that someone had passed. Well, okay, that was new to me. So I'm like, 10? And in that situation, I used all but two. So, but what also surprised me, and just a little side note, mom died in 2015 and dad died in 2019. So it was a little over 3.5 years difference. In that short period of time, where mom's accounts, most of them needed the actual notarized death certificate. With dad's, many of them were fine to take a digital copy. So, some questions to ask. Now, where my parents had a checking account. Now, they grew up kind of at the tail end of the Depression era, a smaller town, still kind of living with Depression mentality. And, they used a couple different banks. Had a little money here, a little money there. So I went to the one to close out or to access goes kind of mom's account. And she was still using checks. And so I wanted to write checks off that account. Now, at that point, I was dad's power of attorney because with his Parkinson's related dementia, I had to take care of that. With mom's, I was executor of the estate. Now, I had met the lady several times. Mom had actually had me go in with her, especially when, with dad's paperwork and stuff. I had met this lady numerous times. She always called mom by name. She always called me by name. I show up and say mom had passed. She acts like she has never seen me. Red flag number one. What this particular bank did, they didn't freeze the funds, but they chilled the funds as much as they could for about 3 weeks. Again, mom was still using checks, so I was trying to do checks, but the first place I wrote a check because I had to write either power of attorney, Laura Orndorff, power of attorney for, Ann Orndorff, or, Irvin Orndorff, or executor of the estate for Ann Orndorff. I had this very long signature. The first place I tried to give a check, they're like, that looks weird. And so I, for checks, I was writing a check out of my account. Let's say I owe $30.22. I would write the company out of my account, and then I would write a check from mom's account to mine. Now, my bank, they knew what was going on, so they were fine to take the check. But just so I would have a paper trail for any audits. So other accounts, I was like, okay, let me set up, because mom did have online banking to kind of look at her balance. But I thought, okay, I'll just do bill pay. Well, the first time I did it, now this is in 2015, first time I did it, it popped up and said, it wouldn't allow me to do anything because the account was under review because one party was deceased, or I can't remember the exact verbiage, but basically, no, you can't pay online. So I couldn't really write a check. I couldn't pay online. So again, the accounts weren't frozen, they were just really chilled. Now, I just kind of hoped that it was a unique situation. And one of my friends, her parents passed right before my dad. We kind of had a similar journey. And I just gave her a heads up. And I said, this is what I had, because I knew her parents had the account at the same bank. And she's like, oh, no. We've talked about it. It's no problem. Everything's great. And I'm thinking, good. Because I did not want other people to have a similar experience. Well, probably 3 months after my dad had died, her parents had predeceased dad, and we were having dinner, and she was like, they had been a nightmare. They basically did the same thing to her. So I think it would have been very helpful if I had sat down with the lady, whether or not she pretended to remember me or she didn't remember me. I don't know, and just say, exactly what is the situation? What do we need to do? And is there anything to avoid this? Because ironically, at the other bank where my parents had a joint account, they had put me on as kind of like a third party silent account. So we were all joint owners, but their checks just said them, just said, my parents. I was not on the checks, but I could go into the bank and, access the money if I needed to. If I had done that, or mom had put me on after dad went to the nursing facility, I could have easily accessed stuff, but a lesson learned. Now, another place where I had challenges was the cell phone company. Now, I will offer one of the ladies I work with, she's just had a complete nightmare, but in my situation, I'm like, it can't be that bad. And I actually kept my mom's phone for probably 9 months because I didn't know if anybody were going to call or anybody hadn't heard anything. So I just kind of kept it going. And it was nice. I hooked it onto my phone, so I had 2 phones ringing. So if I were upstairs or downstairs, I could get to the phone. But in her situation, when I went to the cell phone office, and it was about this thick. I carried this little just container of everything. I had mom's driver's license. I had her will. I had, the executor of the estate stuff. I had everything. So I thought. So again, this is 9 months after mom passed. And I'm ready to close her account. And, the guy's very nice. He's 21, 22 years old. And, I'm starting to pull out everything. He said, and I just need power of attorney. I'm like, I don't have that because she's dead. Because power of attorney ceases to exist when she passes. And that, I had the executor of the estate notarized. And I had that. And he's like, nope, I need power of attorney. Now, I'm an educator by trade. I'm going, he doesn't know. So I started to explain what I just said. And he was like, no, I need power of attorney. And at that point, I realized, for whatever reason, be it he was told per policy of his company, whatever, he wasn't going to budge. Okay, is there a manager? And he got up and he went to a little room, Came back, I never saw another person. And he said, yep, talk to my manager. We got to have power of attorney. I'm like, okay, is there someone else you could call? Because again, this is a large company. And they just basically said no. They were nice about it. We didn't get into a yelling match because at that point I was just not going to fight them. So a couple months later, I called the 800 number. And, and again, for lack of a better word, I do apologize, the dead department, the decedent department, whatever. And I called them and I just explained the situation, and the guy was phenomenal. I was expecting a long drawn out, because I was like, what do I need to send? I've got all the documents. I've got power of attorney. He said, I don't need power. Why would I need power of attorney? I'm like, he gets it. And he was really cool. I will have to say that. I was very fortunate. It was like a complete 180. Again, very nice. Everybody was nice. So, there's no yelling or screaming. But as we were talking, he said, he Googled mom's obituary. And he said, that's fine. He said, you've been, because I'd been with him for about 15, 20 years myself. And he's like, no, it's good. Everything's good. He took care of everything. It took about another month, but, just to kind of close out everything. But those were just two experiences I had. And it's one of those that had I gone to the cell phone company and said beforehand, going, hey, what kind of stuff are you going to need? Okay, you need power of attorney. If that'll make it work for you, fine. I'll bring it. With the bank, maybe putting me on the account, or come up with some other solution that maybe they could have offered. But both companies, those particular individuals were like, nope, kind of shut me down. So again, work together. Those of you who are getting older and those of you who are going to be handling those accounts, work together. Go to the different companies together. And so two people are hearing the same message. And so also to be aware of, policies do change. So let's say it's 2019 right now, if they tell you the policy is ABC now, maybe in 5 to 6 years it's ABDE. Okay, slight change, but maybe you could, after a couple of years, let's go back and check, say, is this still the procedure? Is this still the policy? So again, consider contacting these guys, get that information. Having that so you're not blindsided is a huge help, because being blindsided on the other side it's just exhausting. It's just one more layer of you're emotionally exhausted, and it's just physical exhaustion, and just one less thing you have to worry about. So hopefully I've given you a few things to think about. Check out my library, and I'll see you in the next video.